My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi Fruit Loop. What you know?
You could be a burglar.
Don't laugh at my hat.
Yeah.
I'm having a bad hair day.
You could be a cat burglar. You and Sherlock could be cat burglars.
He is literally at the door scratching, wanting in.
See?
So we've done this once today. We're back. Did you have fun in between?
I did.
Good deal. I just got finished watching classic albums. It's The Making of Dark Side of the Moon with Taylor, and it was the best. I love Pink Floyd, but y'all know that.
Cool.
All right, we're going to jump right into this. This is day 4. This happened on Friday, and the first witness to be called was Detective Liz Allen of the Dane County Sheriff's Office. And she was assigned to the farm to do a line search behind the shed where they saw Chandler's vehicle parked. They saw fresh tire tracks, so they knew they were in the right place. They show photos of an old drum outside.
If this happens to be...
What?
I was just going to say, if this happens to be your first episode you're catching, this is the Chandler Halderson case, the trial going on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we should probably say that. And if you're new to this, we have all the other days up. So they show the photos of this oil drum outside and inside. And the picture on the inside, you see the dismemberment tools with close-ups of the blade, the saw, the scissors, bolt cutters, and hand saws. You could see tissue on it. So the pictures were taken on July 8th. This is the day Chandler's arrested. That was all the testimony. The only cross, it says... prior to July 8th, have you ever been to that address, or had you seen them in that drum prior to July 8th? And the answer was no. So the next, I was about to say contestant. The next witness was Rich Bennett, and he had contact with Chandler. He's one of the investigators, and that call went to voicemail. And they play the recording in court. And he says, I haven't heard from my mom and dad. And he says, everyone's been talking to Mitchell and not him. And he would like to hear something. And he leaves his number. So he called him back and asked about updates and people speaking to Mitchell and not him. And he was told that they didn't have any additional information at that point. So on cross-exam, the only thing they ask is, before calling Chandler back, you knew you weren't going to tell him anything substantial. And investigator Bennett said, I didn't have any additional information. And he said at that time, he also didn't know if Chandler was officially a suspect.
So the next witness was co-lead detective Brian Shunk, and we've heard from him before.
Yeah, he comes in and out.
Right?
Yep.
Because he's being recalled.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. July 8th, he received 3 calls from Chandler. He knew Chandler had talked to the media and asked if he had any additional info, and he said no. He said he located keys in the nightstand to the cabin. Mitchell was coming over to get them because they were going to the cabin. Between the second and third call, they got info Chandler was seen at the farm near a wooded area, and a torso was located in the area. The third call at 3:38 p.m. was recorded because they found the torso where he was seen, and Chandler was then considered a suspect. The members of the sheriff's office on their way to the cabin were called and told to come back. We hear the call. Chandler says, "I'm a little confused. I got 2 squad cars outside my house, and they're not really canvassing. They're just kind of sitting there. Is everything all right?" The detective says they're doing a shift change. Chandler says there's 4 now. Is something going on? The detective says they're probably doing reports. Again, they don't want to spook him.
Right, but
you know what I mean?
The whole day, he's paranoid. He knows something's up. He keeps calling him.
Yep. Chandler asked if any news from Mitchell, and the investigator says they're still on their way, he guesses. Chandler says there's no mail. I have a hold on my mail. Is that normal? Are you getting it? And the detective says no. They read him his rights. The detective asked why the couches were put together, and Chandler says so he could sleep with the dogs. He talks about the broken glass on the fireplace and says he and his dad were watching Wheel of Fortune, and Chandler threw a ball and it broke the glass. He said Bart was mad at him the rest of the day. He says he got a cut, and his mom's friend Mary said it could be infected, so he's been putting Neosporin on it. She said there could be glass in it, keeping it bleeding. Again, so much information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you're not going to break that glass with a ball.
Yeah, no, she testified that, she said it was not even 1/8 of an inch, and we see that. So he said his dad wasn't talking to him, so he went back to job searching, and he watched YouTube and played some video games, and eventually he says he came across a job he liked. He said at 5, Krista came home, which is mom, and they had dinner, but he didn't know what they had. He asked if something's going on and says when they left the house to come to the police station, officers were going inside his house, and he asked if there was a warrant. And Detective Shunk asked, should there be a warrant? And Chandler says no. So Chandler says a Detective Haley went into the gate as the car with him drove off, and he's wondering if everything's okay because she said something has happened. So Shunk says, so mom came home and dad was angry. And Chandler said he would yell if you talked at him when he's angry, so he was giving him his space. He said that him and Krista did some laundry and made their beds, and he didn't know when they went to sleep. He said he was in his room that night, and but he ended up and slept downstairs because he needed to be close to the bathroom. And he said with the stairs, seeing as he couldn't see well in the dark now since his head injury, he slept down there. He said that the glass and not having food ready is what set Bart off. And he said Bart can't cook, but he grills. He says on the 1st, which is the day they're murdered, he said that they started the grill at 8:30 or 9 in the morning, and he took a few calls or emails while they waited. He said they ate around 12:30 and came in and watched Wheel of Fortune. They both did their own thing for a while, and Chandler said he did more job searching, and Bart did some work of his own. And he says something went well for Bart, and I don't know what he meant. I guess maybe something in his business went well. He said then they were hanging out again, and Krista texts him. He says, and if you remember this, he texts his mom that Bart's phone has died, and then he says him and Bart hung out. So he said Krista gets home, and Chandler says he started shrimp scampi for his dad. And Krista told him they were going to the cabin with some friends. And Bart said he needed stuff for pipe repair. And Chandler says he helped grab all that stuff for him, and that they had their duffel bags packed and brought them into the mud room in the garage. They watched 7 Underground. And he said this is a show where they fake their deaths and fly airplanes and fight evil. So that took them to 9 o'clock. And he said that, what? Oh, are we delayed?
No, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. That's yours. Do you know where we are?
That took them to 9. Then they had drinks, and Chandler went to the computer and played video games until midnight or after, and Bart and Krista were asleep. He said Bart helped him set up the bed, and he woke Friday morning and they had left. He found the folding chairs they wanted to bring, but maybe he couldn't fit them, and he put those away. He went upstairs to feed the dogs, and it was 6:15. He saw Krista's note and the insurance notes for his appointment. Friday night, he hung with Kat. Detectives asked what he did during the day, and he said he played video games all day. He said he should have been cleaning. Kat came over after work around 6, and he thinks she stayed on the couch with him that night. Then he says he spent it alone and was gaming. He does a lot of thinking.
It does.
I think.
Right.
He says Sunday night he stayed in his room. She stayed in his room with him. She didn't like the couch bed when she slept on it. Chandler says Friday when Kat came over, they watched a series on Netflix into the morning, some apocalypse show. He said they went to bed at 10. Saturday she left, and he says this is when he noticed his legs and having anxiety. He said Saturday was the peak of the problems, and he stayed up till like 2. You want to pick up from there?
Yeah. He said he couldn't get his friends to play, so he played alone. And Sunday the 4th, he got a text from his mom, and that's the fake text where she said they were at White Lake going to the parade, which was not on the 4th, by the way. And he couldn't figure out where she was, but he said he thought they're safe, they're alive, and didn't think nothing else about it. So in the afternoon, he talked to Dan, which is Krista's coworker, and asked what he was doing because he said he didn't like to be alone at the house. And he said the dogs are knocking things over, spilling their water, going crazy because of the fireworks. Now, he says his dog likes a show called New Girl, so he put that on for the dog to watch. And then Sunday, he went to Kat's house to eat, but they ended up at Cress Farm around 3:30. And he says that Cress helps him with things, and he talks to her because she's wise. And he says he's been in a slump. Then they asked where, when he said he got to Kat's, and Chandler said around noon. Before that, they realized that he wouldn't be able to do stuff because of his legs. So Kat's brother and his date and Kat went to a thrift store, and he said they put him to bed. Poor little thing. They also let the dogs out, and then they went to the farm where they ate and swam and went back to Kat's house to drop off his brother's date, who was staying with Kat. And then Sunday night, they go to Chandler's and dry Kat's clothes. Then they go to Dan's for fireworks around 8:30, and Chandler drove his dad's Subaru. He says they stay about an hour, and he said he had sparks on his arm from the bottle rocket. So he's saying he has burn marks. But remember, last episode, we said that the prosecution had asked Dan and Kat if he burnt himself, and they both said no. What's interesting, I thought, is Dan's girlfriend is an
You know what that looks like to me?
It looks like scratch marks. Did
Go
you
ahead.
see it? I have the picture.
I was going to say that or rope burn from pulling that rope.
Ah, good point. Yeah, I didn't think
That's
of that.
my guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But Dan's girlfriend is in IT
Yeah.
at MATC, which is the same college that he was supposedly a student at. So they left at 9:45 and got on the couch for it and watched Daybreak to finish it. He said they fell asleep around 10 or 10:30, and the dog was jumping on them. So he said he got out of bed and went downstairs to sit with the dog so Kat could sleep. He said the dogs peed in the kitchen on the tile, and he cleaned it up and goes to bed. So that next morning, which would be the 5th, Kat goes to work around 7:50, and he puts on New Girl for his dog, and he goes back and forth between video games. In the afternoon, Monday, he went to the farm to talk to Cress and Kat's moms because he said he had an appointment at 2. And this is where the doctor supposedly told him this damage in his legs will be permanent. He said Kat's mom is okay with him. And after he talks to Kat's mom and Cress, he goes down by the shed while they go swimming. And he said they wanted to watch him break down because he said, in other words, he sees them looking at him. And he says the reason they're staring, not because he's just wandering around their property in a really creepy way. He thinks they want to watch him break down and cry. That's what he thought. And so he just goes to the pool. And he said he cried and kicked grass doing a toddler tantrum and hopped in the water with them. He acknowledged Crest didn't have a top on, and he said that was uncomfortable. And he also said that Kat's mom doesn't like that he lives at home. And she told him that in the pool. And he says that they offered for him to work for them, live with them, and pay rent. I don't see that happening.
Okay. If you're uncomfortable, she didn't have a top on, why would you get in the pool?
Yeah. Because I think he maybe had to smooth over this weirdness of him coming out of the woods and them staring. You got to kind of feel them out. You know what I mean? See if they're suspicious. That's my guess.
Yep.
It's officially 2022, and now's the time to set your wellness routine into action and prioritize your health. Care of allows your vitamin routine to be personal, easy, effective, and constantly evolving. Stay on track with your health goals this new year thanks to Care of's daily vitamin packs that make organization and your resolution easy to stick to every day. Care of is a subscription service that ships high quality, personalized vitamins and powders conveniently to your door every month. In a short, in-depth quiz about your health goals and lifestyle, and get personalized, tailored recommendations based on your answers. You can stick with what Care of recommends or change up your pack at any time. Care of's products are made from good-for-you, clean ingredients that are backed by the latest science and research, so you can feel good about what's going on in your body.
We want to start the year off trying to get healthier. So with Care of, we feel we can get started on the right foot this year. When you go online to take the quiz, it's 5 minutes or less. It's quick. The questions help them know what vitamins you need, tailored to what you need. You can also pick what vitamins you want to order. Their website is well designed, smooth, easy to look at, very informative. The packets that you'll receive in the mail with your vitamins are cute and in one place. I don't know about you, but I got a bunch of bottles sitting around. The vitamins recommended for us were multivitamin plus iron, vitamin C, fish oil, and a probiotic blend. With Care of, it feels like a partnership. You know your body, and Care of knows the science. With Care of, we are able to get the necessary vitamins and supplements that we need to be healthier in 2022, and so can you. For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code WhatTheWorld50. Again, for 50% off your first order, go to takecareof.com and enter code WhatTheWorld50. Hey guys, it's Fruit Loop here with Pretty Lies and Alibis. This is our paid sponsor spot for HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. The new year is a great time to focus on what's important to you, whether it's saving money by ordering less takeout, learning to cook, or prioritizing your wellness. HelloFresh is here to help with endless options to make cooking at home simple and enjoyable. HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients to your door, including farm fresh produce that arrives within a week. So you get convenience without skimping on quality. Skip the trip to the grocery store, saving you the wait in long lines and ensuring you don't waste money on excess food. HelloFresh cuts back on time spent in the kitchen so you can spend it on your other resolutions with meals ready in about 30 minutes or less. Plus, quick and easy meals, including 20-minute recipes and low prep and easy cleanup options provide an even faster route to putting food on the table. We are so excited to receive our HelloFresh order this week. We can't wait to show you the meal we cook. So go to hellofresh.com/whattheworld16 and use code whattheworld16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Again, go to hellofresh.com/whattheworld16 and use code whattheworld16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. He said he would have had a month free rent.
Mm-hmm.
He said maybe he could borrow Cress's car and go to job interviews. He said he could find a job near where he lives. When asked about why he broke down, Chandler says, "Have you ever had your legs messed up?" Or something like that. Chandler says it's damage from the fall and not the concussion. He mentions a colostomy bag down the road. In the pool, sometimes they're being nice. Sometimes they're making him an offer of living there. But he mentioned some apartment on the east side, so I'm not sure if he means the farm or Kat's apartment.
Yeah, that was a little confusing.
He goes to Kat's and then home around 9. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I forgot to throw in there. It's a little confusing because the way he says it one time is like they've offered him to come live at the farm. But apparently Kat had an apartment that was separate from a place she might have lived too. I think she had like an apartment and a house. I'm not sure. So it got a little confusing. I just didn't want, listeners thinking, whoa, which was it?
Gotcha. So he goes to Kat's and then home around 9. He was alone that night. He woke up that Tuesday and hears from Dan, who was worried about Krista. And he said, it's Tuesday. They should be here. And he thinks he called her. He got the voicemail. The detective asked if he heard from his parents at all. And he said just the text. And he said it was fishy to him because there's no 4th of July parade at White Lake. Then he says maybe it is now. He assumed the number of people and the weather may have been why she didn't get a signal out. He doesn't bother Bart there because he doesn't carry his phone around. Out of the blue, he says he got a coffee Tuesday morning from the Quick Trip and used his dad's rewards number because he had a free one. Chandler says, I could have afforded it, but it was free. And again, remember, he asked, what did he ask Kat for? $5?
Yeah, can I have $5?
Yeah.
So
Tuesday, Kat's working, and he said he gamed and job hunted. Then he tried to get the glass that fell, saying he had been lazy. So he got the broom and a little dustpan and tossing the glass in the recycling. I get most of it, but there's glass in the stone, and I don't injure my hand. My blood was kind of on the floor, so I got the Swiffer I borrowed from Kat and got the floor. I got a little bit everywhere. I walked, the bathroom, the kitchen. He said he stained the carpet in between the stairs and the kitchen.
Yeah, from that little big cut. So he said he couldn't get that stain out, and he got the first aid kit to stop all this bleeding, but it wouldn't stop. And the detective said, all from your left foot. Is it massive amounts? And Chandler said it's a left foot hole, and it started as drops until he got to the bathroom, and he sees glass in there. So he got tweezers and pulled the glass out, and then according to him, it started squirting everywhere. He says it got in the basement, the kitchen, and it's still going, and he's trying to get his foot in the sink and pinch it. And he says he waddles upstairs to the first aid kit and then got the toe bundled up, and it stopped. So he said he went to the basement and bled more, but it was easy to clean. So after that, he said he drove his dad's Subaru to Kat's to go to Wild Wings. And the detective asks if that's his car of choice. And he says he can't work the Volvo seat with his foot being messed up. So they go to Wild Wings. They go to Kat's. They eat. He said they watched Pretty in Pink, but it was Legally Blonde. He laid in her bed for a few minutes. He leaves and gets home by 9. So Wednesday on the 7th, he said he tried to go to the farm and he was spamming Cress, needing someone to talk to since he's freaking out about his parents. Cress never responded, so he goes home. But they did ask, so you went to the farm? And he said yes. And he said he thought they would shoot him if he just showed up in a strange car, saying that her dad lives there and he's in his 90s. And something about the dad had shot a buck at 95. So he said he's good with a gun and he didn't want to chance it. So he says Jane calls and he sent a picture of the cabin and he didn't like the way some birch tree looked on the property. And he saw fresh tire tracks where there was some laid down grass and it looked like someone had been there. So he goes to the police and he met with 3 sheriffs and then they go to the home. That night is when he goes to Dan and Mary's at 7:30 to brainstorm, as he says, about Bart and Krista. And the investigator asks if he's given more information to them than he did to the other detectives. And Chandler said, yes, because you've asked more questions. You asked about my injury and bleeding in the fireplace. And the sheriff just asked what they needed to make a report. And he said, you've asked about my home life. So the investigator reads back through the notes and he kind of summarizes a few things. He said Bart cleaned some of the broken glass that Bart sent him to his room, and there was still glass on the floor. And the investigator asked if Bart was injured from the glass, and he said he didn't know because Bart sent him to his room, and he doesn't doubt that Bart got cut. He said when he gets mad, he's not thinking. And then he says, my best guess is that guy reached into the fireplace and cut his arm or something. So then all of a sudden, Chandler's sitting there talking to these cops in this room, and he goes, oh, head pain. Do you guys have Tylenol or something? And so they get him some. So he tells the investigator that he's been getting migraines since this head injury. They ask about cleaning his blood from the toe cut, and he said he got the Swiffer and peroxide and smeared it around. This is going to be where they try to say that, like, you know, that explains all the massive amounts of blood in the house. When asked where the paper towels went, he just said in the trash. And he said bloody rag after bloody rag, just trying to get it all up. And he says it was a lot of blood. He was asked if Bart or Krista had any injuries that would put their blood in the house. And he said Bart has psoriasis and scratches it until blood gushes. He says it drops down and just trickles down his leg. He said he's asked his dad to stop this, but it's a nervous tick that he has. The investigator said, is it enough to get on the floor? And he said yes. He also said that Krista gets bloody noses, and that's why they're using these dehumidifiers and humidifiers. But he said her nosebleeds are not normal. They're really bad, of course. So let's see here. I have lost. Okay.
She goes to the kitchen, her vanity or the bathroom to fix it. It drips and she can't feel it anymore. Would there be any blood in their vehicles? He said in their car, trash, maybe. And he says the bloody noses, she has to use towels. Bart doesn't have them as much, but he gets them, but his are worse than Krista's. He blames them on air conditioning. He says he gets them too, but not as bad as his parents. It gets quiet and Chandler asks questions. They bring him Advil. He says Bart noticed a plumbing issue a few weeks earlier at the cabin and wanted to fix it. This was shortly after Mitchell was diagnosed with diabetes. He said that next week he fell, and he said he's just starting to get his memory back. He said Mitchell has flown the coop and has his own life, and he said he's thinking about doing the same, and his parents have been trying to figure that out with him. They say they've got all the background. Then the investigator says it's time we talk about the truthful version of what happened to your parents. Chandler gets super nervous and says, okay. He says, I've got a clean white piece of paper and you start telling the truth. He says, this is the only chance you'll have to tell us the truth. I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us and we know the reason why. If something happened and you were defending yourself or just fed up with stuff, this is your chance to tell us why. Chandler quietly says they're okay. The detective tells him he's under arrest. Chandler says okay. He said, what happened? They're okay. The detective says, you know what happened. We're not going to tell you what happened. You were there when it happened. We're not BSing you. Chandler, I wasn't there when it happened. We've talked to people. We have evidence and proof more has happened. Your parents never made it to the cabin, and you know that. They have him stand and cuff him. They show photos of the bottom of the foot, and we see a tiny cut, and there is no cross here.
Nope. So we're almost finished, guys. These next few witnesses were super quick. The next witness was Jill DeStefano. She had visited from Utah this summer, and she was right next to Sauk City, where the Wisconsin River is, and that's where Krista's remains were found. And she saw someone matching Chandler's description going into the woods with a backpack on, and there were 3 cars parked on this road. One of them was a dark Subaru, and she thought he was hiking. Her daughter said there's no hiking trail, but there is a river and some people fish. And then she said he had a backpack. So the next witness was the co-lead, Detective Brian Shunk. He was very familiar with the location they found Krista's remains at because he used to patrol that area when he was a deputy. And now they're not showing the graphic photos on TV because they were broadcast on some streams, and the defense, I'm sorry, all sides didn't want that. So now they're giving the jury little pamphlets. So we will not see any more graphic crime scene photos. So they also show those pictures of Brian hanging off the tree that's right near where his mother's remains will be buried. It's a picture from a few years ago. So on cross, they just asked him, these photos came from an ex-girlfriend who contacted your agency, and he said yes. So next we have, you want to do that one, Fruit Loop?
Warden Ryan, Caputo.
Caputo, and it reminded me of Orange is the New Black.
Evidence.
No, I said it reminds me of Orange is the New Black because Caputo was a character on there, and he was in the jail. Sorry,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just went off.
So he helped search for evidence in the case at the Wisconsin River area. They show the jury photos, an aerial photo of body parts. In the first photos, he explains he first saw toes and a foot and part of a leg. When asked if he thought he found 1 leg or 2 legs, he said he didn't stick around. When asked why, he said, he said because it's gross. He contacted the medical examiner. The prosecution showed him the photos of Chandler hanging on the tree, and he recognizes the spot near where Krista's remains were found, which is about 100 yards away from the spot the photo was taken. He says the tree has a knot on the bottom. Cross-exam here. When describing the tree, you said the tree looks consistent. Your testimony isn't say for sure it's the tree. He replies it looks to be the same tree. Defense used the word consistent, right? You can't say for certain that's the same tree. The witness says, I can't say for certain, but it looks to me to be the same tree. Can you say that photo was taken close in time to when you saw the tree? And he says, I don't know when it was taken. I think I was told it was a year ago. He said trees don't have dates on them.
It was kind of one of those.
The next witness is Kevin Gruber.
We got a delay, girl.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah. Kevin Gruber is a medic for Dan County Tactical Response Team. July 14th, 2021, they searched for remains near the Roxbury area. There was a coordinated search with 30 people. They showed the jury photos of the body parts found. He noticed the smell before they found the remains. You want to do this last one?
Yeah. The last witness was Jim Plenty with deputy with the Dane County Sheriff's Office. So July 14th, he assisted with the search in the Wisconsin or the Roxbury area, which is the Wisconsin River. They found a right leg severed at the hip socket, a left foot severed above the ankle, and an upper thigh. And so before breaking for the weekend, the judge says both sides have agreed that DNA from the torso was Bart's and the legs were Krista's. So that's how it all ended. If you have time, definitely go on YouTube. Law and Crime has it. Watch his interrogation in there. Just his body language is very telling. And when at one point you kind of almost think that the officer is leading him down. Okay, we're almost done with you. And you kind of see Chandler sort of relax a little bit and then is like, okay, tell us what really happened. And then he's like, ooh. So it's really fun to watch that. Well, I mean, it's not fun. It's all sad, but his demeanor definitely shifted when they told him he may leave, I guess, or it's kind of saying it without saying it and then saying, we know what's up. He looked like a deer in the headlights. He was shocked. So that's all. We will take some notes tomorrow for the next set of witnesses, and we will bring it to you either tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. We're going to have to see what's going on, but we will definitely be back. You guys have a good rest of your evening. See you soon.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.